closest comparison we can perhaps make, and I remember it vividly, is during the Diamond Jubilee when Prince Philip was taken ill, and there was a service at St Paul's Cathedral, and the Queen very purposefully walked down one side of the aisle as she went to take her seat in the pews, and that's because she was so used to having Prince Philip by her side. Even when he had been hospitalised that weekend, she walked in her position because she thought, or of course reflected on the fact that she always has a right-hand man by her side. So of course this is going to have a profound effect on her and the rest of the family, because Prince Philip was the head of that family.
Camilla, we appreciate you sharing your reflections on Prince Philip and the time that you spent with him on those many royal tours when you were the royal editor above Buckingham Palace, where the notice has been placed upon the gates with the statement reading from Buckingham Palace, "It is with deep sorrow that Her Majesty the Queen has announced the death of her beloved husband, His Royal Highness the Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. His Royal Highness passed away peacefully this morning at Windsor Castle." Our royal correspondent Nicholas Witchell is here with me now, and a very long life on which we can reflect, one hallmarked by extraordinary public service.
Yes, hallmarked by service and duty and loyalty and all those rather old-fashioned characteristics that he and the Queen personify. And it is a moment of real sadness, obviously, for the Queen, for the royal family. Edinburgh, when he felt that he didn't have a role, but he found it and travelled widely there on one of those many travels around the world, but traditionally and customarily.
This captured in the 1960s Prince Philip's interest in science that Nick has been talking about, but then how he came to see that science will only take you so far in life, and he developed his intense personal religious faith, working with Dean Woods at Windsor to, in a particular sense, to give fresh spiritual strength to clergymen who were a bit jaded in their mission in life. And that proved the same thing for him. Such a thinking man. Again, Nick talked about the Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme, of such importance, obviously, to the young people whose lives were changed by it, but also bringing the monarchy into touch with everyday life in a fresh way. I would not want to diminish the wonderful achievement of the Queen in her reign, but so many of her fresh ideas and fresh initiatives.
Shot 2 months before his birthday. But anyway, so the Queen's husband has died. His name is Duke of Edinburgh. Buckingham Palace has announced, and we call her Your Royal Highness, or His Royal Highness.
Yes,
it's sad for us, but you follow them for years, and oh my God. But anyway, I think everyone is just in shock, because obviously he went into hospital in April, and he had an operation, and he's not lasted long since, maybe a month, and now he's gone. But anyway, let's pray for him.
It was a great success, but which the family came to rather regret.
And let's
and it's rather interesting. It's only actually
pray for the Queen to be healthy and be happy.
And all the other members
but we all have to go one day. So this is
getting in touch with the family.
The Queen's husband has passed away. So I'm just reading for you a little news so you can watch.
You were talking just then of his public engagements, and I'm sure even as you said those words, viewers have a picture coming to their mind of his, yes, the sardonic smile you mentioned, often hands behind the back, often unfailingly a step behind Her Majesty, but always there clearly in the most supportive sense.
Let us show you the the official statement, the official notice, if we can, being brought. We can just let you know that there has been an official notice put on the gates of Buckingham Palace. Here it is, being brought out with some ceremony, as you would expect. Brought across the courtyard at the front of Buckingham Palace to the gates, to be placed there to notify the public.
When also they do not have children, that's what they do to us. So to see whether the kids have had a boy or a girl. But this is obviously a statement to confirm that is it.
Of her beloved husband, His Royal Highness the Prince Philip.
There you go.
Duke of Edinburgh.
So that's confirmed.
His Royal Highness passed away.
So it's not a
this
rumor.
morning.
That's how they do it. This is Buckingham Palace.
Goes on to say,
Yeah.
further announcements will be made in due course. The royal family join with people around the world in mourning his loss. The First Minister of Wales, Mark Drakeford, has also released a statement. He says, throughout his long and distinguished life, His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh served the Crown with selfless devotion and generosity of spirit. We offer our sincere condolences to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, his children and their families on this sad occasion. Our royal correspondent Nicholas Witchell is here, and everyone touching on the same sorts of themes, Nick, of service and the support that he's given to the Queen. And of course, she is uppermost in everybody's minds because it is her husband who she has lost.
Yes, and the fact, as everybody is testifying, that he has made such a huge contribution to the success of this reign. People have referred to the fact that she said at the time of the Golden Jubilee, he is my strength and stay. Less remembered is that she returned to the theme at the time of the Diamond Jubilee, when she said, he is my constant strength and guide. Now, the Queen is very careful in her choice of words. So in both of those references, she referred to strength, to my guide. Now, she was saying that at the time of the Diamond Jubilee, when she'd been on the throne for 60 years. So for her to pay that kind of tribute, to use that kind of...
Farewell. It was also as events turned out. Goodbye.
It was at a hunting lodge in Kenya that Philip told his wife of her father's death. Someone who was there said Philip looked as though half the world had dropped on him. They returned to London to lead the national mourning.
And now here is the Queen.
His wife was now Queen. Philip was there in support, but he was never given the title Prince Consort, and his role was undefined. He channeled some of his restless energy into a boisterous social life. He and a group of male friends met every week in rooms above a restaurant in London's Soho. There were long convivial lunches, visits to nightclubs, and glamorous companions. By the 1960s, Philip's life was more settled. He and the Queen had completed their family with 2 more children, Andrew and Edward, who joined Charles and Anne, and he had found a new role for himself.
Is it the 18th we're due back now? 18th.
From his office in the palace, he promoted issues in which he had a personal interest.
40 minutes to get round the world. Well, it's going to be a bit of a rush. It may leave you a little bit muddled.
Yet diplomacy seemed alien to him. He urged British industry to pull its finger out and complained on American television that the royal family didn't have enough money.
Inevitably, if nothing happens, we shall either have to, we may have to move into smaller premises, who knows?
He blundered on a state visit to China with the Queen. He made what he thought was a private remark about slitty eyes. It was a diplomatic gaffe which dominated the headlines and added to his reputation for making misjudged remarks. Yet Philip had a sharp, inquiring mind and was determined to make a contribution of his own. The groundbreaking 60s film Royal Family was made largely at his instigation because he felt it was time for the family to show a more human face to the world.
The salad is ready.
Good. And for many years he toured the globe as president of the then World Wildlife Fund, speaking out about the need to conserve nature.
We depend on being part of the web of life. We depend on every other living thing on this planet, just as much as they depend on us.
He promoted technology, helped underprivileged children, and had a lifelong interest in spiritual issues. But his most lasting creation was the scheme named after him, the Duke of Edinburgh's award, which encouraged young people to realise their potential.
To give young people a chance to discover their own abilities.
Family tragedy and a moment of tension for the monarchy. It was the Queen to whom the country looked for public comfort. It was Philip to whom the Queen turned for private support.
And still Prince William, with his head hung, walking next to his grandfather.
It was Philip whose gentle encouragement had persuaded William and Harry to walk behind their mother's coffin to her funeral. And, contrary to his sometimes insensitive image, it had been Philip who'd taken the lead in trying to understand the domestic problems of his children, prompted perhaps by his own memories of what it's like to marry into the royal family. Philip remained physically active at an age when most men would have relished retirement. He went carriage driving, and he was still carrying out more engagements than many younger members of the family. Some he did alone, such as this visit to British troops in Iraq.
How did you get into this?
But most he did with his wife. He was the figure a few paces behind the Queen, always looking out for her, and often guiding children through the barriers to present their flowers to her. By the time of his 90th birthday in June 2011, celebrated at his insistence with little fanfare, he'd accepted that it was time to slow down a little.
I reckon I've done my bit. I want to enjoy myself a bit now. With less responsibility, less frantic rushing about, less preparation, less trying to think of something to say. On top of that, memory is going. I can't remember names and things. Yes, I'm just sort of winding down.
There was little immediate evidence, though, of any winding down. Despite a serious health scare at Christmas 2011, when he had to be taken to hospital with a blocked coronary artery, he remained at the Queen's side for most of her Diamond Jubilee programme, which took them the length and breadth of the country. It wasn't until 2017 that the Duke, then aged 96, carried out his final solo engagement. It was a parade for the Royal Marines on the forecourt of Buckingham Palace. It was pouring with rain, but, as ever, duty took priority. He took his time meeting those on parade and taking the salute as the Marines marched past to bid him farewell. His life after that was much quieter, spent mostly at the Queen's estate at Sandringham. It was there in January 2019, while he was driving himself from the estate, that he survived a serious road accident. His vehicle overturned, he was badly shaken, and he surrendered his driving licence shortly afterwards. By now he was rarely seen in public. There were occasional appearances at family occasions such as weddings, yet he remained a supportive figure to the Queen and his family. Throughout his adult life, despite the formality of his position, Philip retained his own style of doing things. He made his own uncompromising mark on national life. He once summed up his approach in characteristically forthright fashion.
I've just done what I think is my best. I can't suddenly change my whole way of doing things. I can't change my interests. I can't change my way in which I react to things. It's part of, that's somebody's style, and it's too bad.
Throughout all the monarchy's many ups and downs since the Second World War, Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, the longest-serving consort in British history, was the restless outsider who put his wife and duty first. In doing so, he fulfilled his coronation oath of allegiance to Elizabeth, his queen. Their marriage and his support were the essential foundations which underpinned the success of her reign. In a speech to celebrate their golden wedding anniversary, the Queen spoke of the debt that she and the country owed him.
He is someone who doesn't take easily to compliments, but he has quite simply been my strength and stay all these years. And I and his whole family, and this and many other countries, owe him a debt greater than he would ever claim, or we shall ever know.